We'll see if you want to get into the match itself.
Yeah, so I'll run through the lines. We've got Milan as technically the home side, plus 235, Inter plus 120, draw line plus 195. The total is set at over 2.5 is minus 105. The under is minus 125. You can get draw no bet on Milan at plus 140. Inter kind of unplayable there. Just looking for draw no bets.
So I'm going to say this is the first plus money we've seen on Inter in, I don't know, 3 months. Would you guys say?
Probably they were they like even against Juve in that Derby d'Italia a couple weeks ago.
They were the home team, though, weren't they?
Were they the home side?
I thought they were.
Yeah.
No, okay, so then definitely not.
Was it a way to Napoli or something? Or
yeah, maybe
could have been. I feel like that's the only way that they would be not that. Because the rest of the matches they're like clear favorites for. Maybe they were viewed a little different at the start of the Kivu era because they were slipping a little bit in Champions League. They weren't doing that well. Maybe people thought that they would like slip up, but I don't know how you don't bet Inter, honestly. And I know I say that almost every time I do this with the Derby.
We have a saying. Follow the odds. No, listen, deserved favorite, right? Top of the league, 10 points clear, the better, more informed side. You can make all these arguments. I kind of throw all that out when it comes to a derby match, and certainly 1 versus 2, right? Forget about the point difference. I'm always going to take a shot with the underdog. I'm not 100% saying here that people need to back Milan, but you kind of mentioned it. The game should mean a little bit more to them at this point. Granted, I think Inter is, the cup exit was unexpected, but Champions League exit, I think we all kind of saw that coming. Maybe not to Bodo, but they never looked good, right, at any point in the Champions League after they beat like the 2 worst teams in the competition. Yeah. Once they had that 4, 5, 6 point cushion, you knew they were going all in for the Scudetto, right? That's exactly their focus. So credit to them for being in this position. I'll raise my hand. I was way wrong. I didn't think Kivu had it in him. First real job. You mentioned it. The squad is kind of aging. Thuram is not really a striker. He's good player, but you can't depend on him for goals. Lautaro hasn't scored 20 in quite some time, so he's always injured. Did not see this happening. So credit to them not taking anything away from Inter. Milan have to have it. So that's the way I'm going to approach this game if I'm betting it. I think a team total over 1.5 at plus 200 is a way I would look to play it because they're going to need 2 goals one way or the other. But just as a straight bet, bias aside, over 2.5 goals minus 105 is probably my favorite bet. And if I know Steve the way I think I do, he's going to hit me with the head-to-head. How many goals have been scored through these matches in the last 7 or 8 or 10 or whatever it is. But Inter games, every single game has been an over, right? So I don't see any reason why this wouldn't continue.
Yeah, so Milan's under in 5 of their last 7 in Serie A. Head-to-head, you wanted to know. So 3 of the last 4 have been 2 goals or less. The only one that wasn't was the Coppa Italia second leg last year when Milan won 3-0. Prior to that, though, you got a lot of overs. Prior to that, you had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4.
And I have a love-hate relationship with that because it's not really like other sports, right? I mean, the last 3 or 4 maybe make sense, but 3 years ago, how many players were on both, on either respective?
Roster turnover.
They were like, some of these games too would enter. I mean, Magnan in the so we'll go to like the first one this year. Magnan was sensational. Inter should have scored 2 to 3 goals in that one. You'd easily say over in that. I think the year prior to that, or the match prior to that in the league, Zalewski got a stoppage time, game-tying goal. And in that one, Inter hit the post multiple times. And I remember in that one, too, like that was another one where it was like, if Inter didn't play with their food, if they weren't shit in front of goal, which is also what cost them the title last year, because Arnautovic and Taremi were terrible. The big difference is like the Boni and Esposito this year, and then Lautaro's been better. That's kind of been Inter's problem. This reverse where we ended up scoring, we didn't really create much. We didn't do too much in terms of that. We only really scored because Sommer had a terrible spill that, they were able to poach on. I am worried about that. Milan's shot and chance creation has been a little bit better than what some people think or expected. But like I've said, they've been terrible at finishing. If any of you, I don't think you guys got up early enough to watch the Cremonese game, but they should have won 5-0. Pulisic missed a sitter, or he should have laid it off to Leao. Leao missed 2 sitters. They end up winning 2-0, but you're talking about a conversation where it should be 5-0. Certain matches with Allegri for sure that he's got to put on 3 attackers because they look like a completely different team when they have a striker in there with Pulisic and Leao. And I know he can't fully do it because Pulisic returns from it. There's so much nuance to it. It's kind of frustrating when we see our fellow U.S. men's national team fans coming in and ripping him. It's like the guy's hurt. And if you're a manager and you bring him in after he hasn't played for weeks and you play him a full 90 minutes, you're still risking another injury. And that's something you don't want to play with, because if you have any chance or any inkling of trying to win this title, you need to not only find a way to preserve him, but use him in enough minutes that you can get production out of him. I think that he's slowly built that back up. Leao looks a little bit more fit. The only way I think I'm super confident in over 2.5 is if he uses more of a 3-man attack, which I'm not convinced of. And then also there's the other point, and why I think you're probably right about over 2.5 is they have to win. They have to go for it. There's most derbies are oh, it's gritty. It's, it could go back and forth. It's nails. Everyone's being very defensive. It's the tension's so high. With this, it's Inter have nothing to lose. They can go out and try and score goals with we all know they can. And then Milan, again, they literally if I'm Inter, I'm going out and attacking Milan constantly. And Allegri loves that. He loves to invite that kind of thing. But I don't think he could afford to do cortomuso in this. You can't do it. You have to go and attack and try and win, which plays perfectly into Inter's hand for this because of the 10-point cushion. That's really what it is. If this one was, we want to say 6 points or something like that, then the match is totally different. But this is like a fake title clinching match for Inter. Mathematically, it's not real, but mentally, you're 13 points clear of second place with 11 matches or so to go. It's done at that point. It doesn't matter who plays who, barring a miracle.
So yeah, and if you think Inter's going to, draw them out and then exploit that, Inter team total also is plus 110.
That's where I was going.
So I'll hit you guys with the stats. They've scored 2 or more in the league in 7 straight and in 8 out of 10.
Inter you're referring to, right?
Inter. Actually, 9 out of 11.
Yeah.
In the league.
It's also, Nick, I'm going to steal your bit here, a little bit of a follow the odds moment here, where you have this team that entered the favorite to win. Both teams to score is minus 150. If you have this game that's going to be relatively open with both teams scoring and Inter's winning, they must be getting multiple goals here. So getting them at a plus number, it seems like a better pick, no offense, Nick, than the over 2.5, because if that's hitting, odds tell me it's going to be Inter doing the heavy lifting.
Yeah, and I just realized Inter hasn't lost in the league since Milan beat them back in November. And only one draw aside from that against Napoli.
It doesn't even feel that way. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the way Kivu was playing versus Como yesterday, where he doesn't put 2 strikers on at the same time. I believe he just swapped Thuram for Esposito, a like-for-like sub, which also signals to me he wants to keep him fresh. I hate 2 legs for Coppa Italia. I really
so
don't
random.
like it.
Yeah, it's so random.
Yeah, and they also do that where they change it up year over year. It's just weird. So that was another huge advantage for Inter, because if they know, hey, realistically, if we were 2 goals down, maybe he subs on 2 guys to try and make up ground for that. But the fact that it was 0-0 at that point, it's just okay, we have the second leg and we've returned back home for that, where we could go back for a double. I want my guys rested mentally, where this is, like you said, the Scudetto chase. This is what we want. We want to go get that one, because the last 2 times Inter, barring the year that Napoli ran the league, Inter lost the league on the final day of the season twice. So they know that they've left some trophies on the table in that regard. And I think they just want to have a kill switch here in this one, which is why I think this derby is very different than most. But I'm curious to see. Lautaro hasn't been that great in derbies recently. I'm curious to see how they play without him in it. I think it's a bigger step up in match for guys like Boni, Esposito, or whoever plays with Thuram, because it's a different level of game, right? The pressure shifts to you now. You're the guy. You have to step up in that moment because they know they feel it. I like Leao's comments heading into this. They're like, it's do or die, guys. Like, I don't want anyone going out, leaving their homes for this one. We have to do everything we can. Where in a way it's house money, but it's kind of not because you are losing the title in that regard. But I think it'll be oddly open. If Max comes out being all reserved, like, I'm going to be having a panic attack for 90 minutes because it's like, why are we doing this when we know we have to win? Because if he's keeping it close to his chest where he waits, they also made the least amount of subs in the league, I believe. That was one of the things that they said on the broadcast.
That sounds right.
Which is insane. But also, like, who are you going to sub on? But yeah, I think it'll be oddly open for this one. So yeah, I like where you guys are leaning with that stuff. As far as players go, I don't know if you guys want me to jump to that thing with like player props because you know I love that shit. I don't know how no one kind of goes for DiMarco goal or assist at this point. That's just been a player that's so productive. It's one of the greatest assist men season in league history. Obviously, I think he's one assist away from even tying Papu Gomez for it, or he's already done it. He's been a machine. There's no other way around it. Whether he creates, it's set pieces, open play, he has the ability to score. That's just a player that I look to for that. I guess I would like kind of try and figure out other spots, but like who's starting up top. Yeah. I think that's kind of a little question mark. I haven't really seen who Inter are going to go with yet. So I would assume it's Thuram and then one of Boni or Esposito. I feel like he's going to go with Esposito in this.
I think so too. Yeah. So for reference, DiMarco goal or assist is plus 210. Like you said, I think that's an auto bet. If you just believe he's going to assist, I'm looking at a plus 325. I don't know if you guys have different or better numbers on that, but I'd have to look for 1,000% with you, and I'm going to bring in a Scott favorite on a player prop here, and that is Hakan. Score assist is plus 260.
That's fine.
And Hakan shot on target is also ridiculously high. Hold on,
no way. Oh, maybe Hard Rock is better. It's minus 115. It's minus 115 on DraftKings, and he's only been playing like 60 minutes. He hasn't been playing full 90s now.
Right.
So
shot on target kind of plus 200.
All right.
Well,
plus 200.
Keeping it.
Yeah.
Minus 115 on DraftKings.
So that's what I just said. It's
takes penalty kicks. Like, give me the guy that takes penalty kicks for a shot on target.
Right.
And to score or assist.
That's fine.
Yeah, sorry, really quick. The DiMarco anytime assist is plus 285 for DK up here.
Hard Rock does right with the player props, man. I gotta say,
they give you some generous numbers there.
But we talk about it almost every time I'm here. The player prop market never makes sense in the United States. I still don't know. I haven't checked it out in Europe. I don't get it. You're talking about, like you said, a clear designated penalty taker. And these derbies do see a decent amount of penalties taken. Like, they're not like we have the bozo gene, as like the youths like to say, like where we have guys who are just idiots. Gabia isn't starting in this one. He just had surgery. He's out for a month. So it's really going to be De Winter, Tomori, Pavlovic. Yeah, exactly. And the first defender off the bench, center back wise, is David Odogu, who is just a 20-year-old kid that nobody really knows about and hasn't played over 30 minutes professionally in Serie A. So it's, God forbid something goes wrong. That could change. I think Tomori and Pavlovic are just prone to doing something stupid, which I worry about.
Scott's team total looking better and better the more you talk.
Yeah, that's what stuck out to me. Everything points towards Inter getting multiple in this one, especially if Martino's right in that. With neither team having much to lose, they both play a relatively open game.
So here's the question. Obviously, knowing that Pulisic has been hurt, Leao's been hurt, Fulkrug, I don't know if he's fully fit or just old or what the
situation is. He had a broken toe. That was about it. Yeah.
provided Milan do something, who would you eye for that to happen? Anybody worth a look for player props, or is it just kind of going to be one of those like, oh, Rabiot scored off of a rebound, or I don't know,
Well, so
Modric hit a free
like you
kick
say,
or
like say
something.
even if you want to factor in a penalty, right? Like for example, they don't really have a designated penalty taker this season, right? Like Pulisic had the best record, and then he missed a couple, right? He skied the one versus Juve. Milinkovic Savic saved one of his when he was on Torino. And then Leao was taking penalties, and then when Nkunku was on the pitch, they had him taking them. I feel like Max again. Last time these two played, he had Leao and Pulisic for it. I know John in chat said something about Pulisic. He's been a big game player. He's been in positions to score recently and do things. He's probably the guy that I would lean into.
Yeah.
But for me, I would actually go with Leao. I think this is kind of just he never really says the things that he's been saying this week. He's never really like that kind of like vocal person that will speak up and say something. He's a very quiet, reserved guy. It's also why he catches a lot of shit. I know you're kind of iffy on him, Nick. So for me, I like that. Just like a mentality thing. That's not a statistic or anything, but I just really like that. And we all know he has that ability out of anyone between these two teams that he could take over a match at any moment and do something incredible. So that would I would only lean those two guys for Milan. I don't see how anything else. Say you want to talk set pieces, Pavlovic is the biggest threat out of like those options aerially.
All right, we're gonna dig deep for this one. Hold
like
on.
But I do like, if we're not going to talk about Milan, some player that has had a complete. If they had a comeback player of the year award, I think it would go to Zielinski at Inter. And a shot on target in this is like around plus 160. That is, we know how devastating his left foot could be. So that's just a guy that's a threat. And Inter, I don't know if people could in Florida bet on props for Inter to score off of a set piece. They're incredible. They're like the Arsenal of Serie A teams when it comes to set pieces. They are just always a threat. That's also another place where I would kind of lean at. But Milan, I just truthfully, if you were to have to pick one, it's obviously one of the two forwards. But if not, I wouldn't even look in their direction.
Yeah, I was looking for Pavlovic to score a header, but he's not listed. He's plus 1,400 anytime. For what it's worth.
They're just not really a team that obviously we've seen that you want to bet on anyone to score. We're gonna be stunned for that. So
all right, I'm gonna hit you guys with a variation of every bet we've talked about. Just if you want to mix it up, over 1.5 second half goals at plus 110, I think is pretty live. All right. No, I mean, I don't have statistics to back it up. I think the goals come in the second half.
Well, Milan's been better in the second half compared to most games because, Allegri likes to kind of sleepwalk and daze through things. Like Steve could let you know, like the two matches we played Roma this season, it was an onslaught in the first half by Roma. Yeah. Roma outplayed them. They just couldn't finish for shit in either of those games. That ultimately, I think Roma probably should have won both. But Milan obviously came away with the 4 points. It's just, for me, it's all about how quickly does Allegri go to the 3-man attack and how soon can you anticipate that? Because if this is 0-0 at the half, to your point, then it's going to happen because they have no choice. Or even if they're down 1-0, for example, right? They have to. They literally have no choice. And if they come out and like try and get a draw or settle for something and someone makes a comment post-game saying, oh, we're still on track for top 4, heads are going to roll. Like those people are insane out there. They're not going to tolerate that. But yeah, second half, most goals. It makes sense given how the side has played pretty much the entire year.
I love it. Anything else for you guys, Coach, Scotty?
No, not for this one.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about these guys anymore, to be honest.